we're just seeing an explosion of growth. The flywheel has kicked in. It's multi-billions being run through the marketplace. We're seeing 188% growth in AI and machine learning revenue, and we're early days here as we get this going, but exciting times to see the growth there and the customer demand, as well as our global sales organization looking for solutions that fit these customer needs. How are we seeing growth in the channel? That is a massive opportunity. So I'll touch on that in a little bit, but it's also really exciting to see growth in digital direct. So that means without Microsoft seller support.
Learn how to master cloud marketplaces in just 5 weeks with our cohort course. Accelerate your growth by tapping into the $300+ billion cloud spend that enterprises have committed to AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. Discover the future of go-to-market with Roman. During 10 weekly sessions, you'll learn how to leverage this fast-growing channel and network with top industry experts and partnership leaders. We will dive into marketplace strategies, internal buy-in, building relationships with the cloud, and mastering co-sell. Join our upcoming cohort.
Our next speaker, Ryan Storgaard, Senior Director, Microsoft Commercial Marketplace. Ryan leads Microsoft growth team, product team for commercial marketplace. And marketplace obviously is creating waves across the industry. Microsoft being pioneer in many different ways. And I'm really excited to hear from Ryan today. Just a couple of exciting numbers that I've seen from Microsoft. Sales through commercial marketplace grew 100% year over year. Huge uptick in AI listings and then more. And Ryan, thanks so much for joining us today.
What I thought we'd do today in our session is, I think, given Jay's kickoff and the work that Roman and team have been doing around marketplaces, like I said, I think you're all my people. What I wanted to do that's a bit unique is really show how AI is actually really accelerating the growth and the flywheel that we're seeing with marketplace. So like I said, I'm Ryan Storgaard. I lead our growth team inside of product management for the marketplace. I joined the marketplace team back in 2017, and it's just been a fascinating journey. I can honestly say now is the most fascinating time. When I first joined years ago, the perception at the time was this is very much a SMB play. You know, you're never going to see enterprise sales go through the marketplace. The enterprise procurement process is way too complicated. It's way too customized. There's so much friction. Really, you've seen that invert. The last few years, there's just been an absolute explosion in terms of enterprise and SaaS that Jay was just hitting on. And really what we're seeing now is actually it's all channels, it's all segments, it's all customer types. So it's very exciting. So let's dig right in. So the marketplace is really how Microsoft brings our customers and our partners at scale around the world together in a digital platform. And really, the way I always like to explain marketplace and our commercial marketplace is, if you're a partner, hands down, the number one thing that partners usually want is, hey, how can I get my solution that I've built for, integrated with Microsoft platform and technologies? How do I get that on your price list? How do I actually access your customers? How do I actually sell through your channel? How do I do that globally? And that's really the value that we bring with the marketplace is having a digital platform to bring those customers and partners together. In terms of marketplace momentum, yeah, as Jay was saying earlier, like we're just seeing an explosion of growth. The flywheel has kicked in. It's multi-billions being run through the marketplace, which is exciting. What I wanted to touch on today, though, is more the other two stats, which is we're seeing 188% growth in AI and machine learning revenue, and we're early days here as we get this going, but exciting times to see the growth there and the customer demand, as well as our global sales organization looking for solutions that fit these customer needs. The one that I'm also really excited about that kind of goes hand in hand with all of this is we also are seeing explosive growth in terms of what we call digital direct sales. So as Jay was talking earlier, and I'll touch on it a little bit more of like, how are we seeing growth in the channel? That is a massive opportunity. So I'll touch on that in a little bit, but it's also really exciting to see growth in digital direct. So that means without Microsoft seller support. Later on, you're going to have a panel specifically about co-sell. And let me be clear, co-sell is a huge growth engine for our partners and for Microsoft. Those tend to be like the largest, biggest deals tend to go through the co-sell lens. But what we're also seeing is just this explosion in terms of customers just self-serving, meaning they're buying on their own without any assisted support from a seller, and oftentimes buying the public price, which is different than what you see in the enterprise purchase, where there's a lot of custom terms, custom pricing, those types of things. So if we think about the value for customers, I'll be brief on this because I think Jay did a really good job of teeing this up. But fundamentally, what we've seen drive the enterprise growth is really around convenience and purchasing power. So a lot of the cloud marketplaces, and especially Microsoft with our Microsoft Azure consumption commitment, a lot of customers, it's really driving a behavior of, I have this consumption commitment with Microsoft. Oh, and eligible solutions that I purchased through the marketplace can count towards my Azure consumption commitment. That's a game changer. So that's driving a lot of the growth. But what we find is once a customer starts doing that, and that kind of tends to be the initial nudge for them from a procurement perspective, they also find a lot of convenience and controls and governance. So this is a Forrester TEI study that talks about just some of the stats, and just having spent a ton of time with customers, this absolutely rings true. Once they start seeing like, hey, wait a minute, not only does this count towards my consumption commitment, I can actually standardize kind of how I do my vendor assessment. I can standardize how I onboard terms and conditions with my partner vendors. It's easier for their teams, their procurement teams, to align quickly, and then they get a bunch of cost savings and time savings. The governance and control bit that I mentioned is we notice once, especially global customers, once they start purchasing, there's kind of a bit of a flywheel effect where they get used to the marketplace procurement motion. And then that usually leads into a feature and capability we have called Azure Private Marketplace as a good example, where the added benefit is, hey, wait a minute, I'm now getting my convenient Azure bill with marketplace purchases on there. That's helpful. But then secondly, I can actually put some governance and control and choose to allow certain solutions for my organization. So there's a governance angle to that as well. And what I wanted to tee up for the rest of this discussion, though, is, hey, what's the marketplace and AI opportunity? Jay was just talking about trillions of dollars. So really, this slide is kind of landing from a Forrester, from a Goldman Sachs perspective. 200 billion forecasted AI investment globally by 2025. Majority of organizations, 67%, expect to invest. I don't think any of these are really surprising. The twist I'm going to do on it is we've talked about marketplace as a growth engine and all the data and stats behind that. What is AI? What's the AI opportunity and the innovation bringing? And really what I can tell you is partnering with Microsoft on this is a huge differentiator. Microsoft is a leader in the AI space, a leader in the marketplace space. And what I'm going to tee up a little bit today is how do those things come together? Because no other marketplace is infusing AI into our commerce platform while also extending AI services to our partners. And that's really always been the Microsoft advantage and play, is approach it from a platform perspective. We want to bring the partner and the customer ecosystem and the services partners and channel partners into that, and Marketplace provides the platform for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch on three areas, really. One is innovating with AI. The other one is how to empower your business. And the third one is unlocking growth. So let's start with innovating with AI. The first bullet here is really talking about building. So a lot of our headspace tends to be, I've got a solution, I want to list it as transactable in the marketplace, and then I want to co-sell or do digital direct or a channel motion and so on. Yep, absolutely. But what we're also seeing in the stats earlier is customer demand for AI powered solutions is absolutely massive. Huge investments that are happening. I would also say not only is the opportunity there, what I would put in there, we've seen with marketplace play out, is just customer expectations. They're just really expecting this convenience, and they're expecting solutions to be powered with AI that help them innovate faster and solve their problems faster. So one of the things is you can start with building with generative AI solutions. And we saw a 50% increase in transactable offers this year. The other thing that I would also share with you is you might have heard some exciting announcements. We had Build just recently, our Build conference, where there was a lot of model as a service announcements. So we have Azure AI Studio, and if you go to Azure AI Studio, you can see a bunch of these different models from AI innovators like Meta, OpenAI, Mistral, Hugging Face, NVIDIA, Snowflake, Databricks, Cohere, and many, many more. These are models as a service that you can actually build and integrate into your solutions. Under the covers, what you're seeing in Azure AI Studio, all these different models and this model as a service, under the covers, that's published to our catalog in the commercial marketplace. And that's also how the monetization works. So when customers purchase these models or ISVs purchase these models, under the covers, it's marketplace. But what if I zoom out for a second, that's another example of our marketplace strategy to meet the customers where they are. What I mean by that is a lot of people are familiar with our web storefront. So Azure Marketplace as a web storefront, AppSource as a web storefront that's more catered to Dynamics, industry solutions, and so on. But under the covers, it's one catalog. And then what we also do is we serve those solutions that are in our catalog in the in-product experience. Perfect example, every Azure customer will be familiar with. If you go to portal.azure.com and you log in as an Azure customer, that's the in-product experience. You click on Marketplace and you see Marketplace solutions in there. So we're serving that catalog up into the customer experience. Switch over to Teams. If you click on Apps in Teams, that again is the catalog from Marketplace being surfaced in context in the Teams environment. And you see that with Dynamics 365, Power BI, and so on. So you can build and innovate your solutions with these exciting AI models. The second bullet is talking about copilots. And this is a really exciting opportunity for all of us. Earlier this year, we had our MCAPS partner summit. So it's kind of like, what is Microsoft's FY25 direction for our field sales organization? And then we did a partner version of that. And one of the things that they announced this year is really a direction to have Copilot on every device for every role. So you're seeing a huge push from Microsoft where we have Copilot extensibility across the Microsoft cloud. And I think that's probably expected, but if you pause for a second, what I like to point out to people is that is incredibly differentiated. If you talk to a lot of customers, especially large global customers, they don't just buy IT infrastructure. They don't just buy industry solutions. They don't just buy productivity, collab, line of business. They have solutions they need across all of those things. So Marketplace allows us to surface those solutions that you're all building. But now what you're also seeing is we have Copilot extensibility across Microsoft Cloud, and you can approach that from a low-code scenario where you're actually just building and integrating with Copilot through something like Copilot Studio, or you can go really deep and hyper-customize by using things like Visual Studio and the Teams Toolkit extension. As an example, like Teams has 320 million plus users you can reach if you start thinking about that opportunity for Copilot extensibility.